guys, just came back from a short drive. We're at almost 1100 miles, and 1200 miles is the break-in. So just wanted to do a quick video on, I guess, why I got the M2 and how it's actually like I would honestly say it's like one of the best cars to learn manual on. So I've never owned a manual car. I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to own an M car. And this just kind of, made sense to get like an M2 manual. It's, everyone kind of praises this car. So originally I wanted to get kind of like an E90 M3 or something like that. And then, just mess around with it, learn the manual and everything. And when I thought about it, like the amount of maintenance and all the issues I'm gonna have to find with that, plus finding a clean example of them is really hard. Most of the ones I saw for like 35K, they were, pretty beaten up. If you want like a really clean example, you're gonna have to pay 50K. And then when I thought about it, 50K plus all the maintenance, this car is about like 65K. So it just made sense to get something new with the warranty. Obviously I was a little a little, I guess, scared to drive this at first because it is a manual M car. But honestly, like I've driven manual cars before here and there, just never more than like a 10-minute period. I've done like, test drives or driven like, friends' cars like around the block. So it's pretty funny. Like I live in Illinois and I got this car in a whole other state in St. Louis, and it was like a 3-hour ride home. So, I get in it, we're driving, obviously I'm not the smoothest. So, I didn't kind of master the, I guess, when you like let off the clutch and then you give gas. I didn't master that method. Every time I got off, I just like let off the clutch. But obviously that doesn't work when you go to an uphill scenario. But it was pretty funny. I got to like St. Louis downtown traffic. And then I'm like, oh shit, what do I do here? So obviously we learned by fire. But honestly, I'm happy I did it that way. I feel bad for the car because I did stall a few times. And I guess that's where I kind of want to go to this point. So let's take a look here. So obviously from all other manual cars, I guess from the starting point, like starting it is very different. Like you can't keep it in gear, which is weird. You got to keep it neutral and put the parking brake up. And, I did try like just now, put it into first and then kind of letting it go, like turning it off. And basically what happened is like when you put it in like any rolling gear, like forward or reverse, first or reverse, it pretty much just disengages the parking brake, which I think it's like a safety feature in like most new cars. But yeah, like going back to the point, one of the coolest things is obviously, like it doesn't have an actual parking brake, which I think is kind of cool because it's like less work. It's like one less thing you have to do, in my opinion. The second thing is obviously, when I was coming from St. Louis, I stalled a few times. And the easiest thing is like, pretty much you just have to like pop in the clutch and like it just starts back up. The only thing I did have to learn is obviously like, when you're at a standstill, you got to press the brake and push the clutch. Otherwise you'll roll back. So I kind of learned that the hard way. Luckily, my friend was behind me in my truck, so it wasn't too bad. The next thing is obviously when we go to the settings, there's a gear shift assist here, so you can turn it on and off. And honestly, what's pretty cool about it is, it helps for both upshift and downshift. So it pretty much just rev matches. So I know like a lot of people were kind of like hating on this feature that like, why did BMW do whatever? But honestly, for performance driving and just like, just pure, like, I guess luxury, like not having to downshift is one, and then getting the best downshifts and like that crisp sound, it's honestly very fun. Like one of my favorite features in like a DCT is whenever you downshift, you get like that blip of the throttle, and you get a little bit of crackles. Like this does that, which is pretty cool, and the fact that it's manual. The other thing that I've noticed is, I actually don't know if this is true, but I mean, I kind of felt it and I don't want to risk trying it. Which is, I guess like one time, like I think I was in like fifth or something, and then I was trying to go to sixth, and I didn't have the clutch all the way down, and basically it kind of like locked me in that gear. It didn't let me shift it without putting in the clutch, which honestly is a pretty cool feature. Um, but in terms of the clutch and this transmission feel, so I remember when I went for the BMW Ultimate Driving Experience, all the M drivers there, like, they were pretty much telling me like not to get the manual. They said like obviously if you want to get manual, get it. But they were saying like how this car is mated and its design, it's all around the automatic. And the reason why they say that is obviously, yeah, like it was designed in that way. And obviously in the manual, when you take off your accelerator to shift gears, you're losing all that boost. Versus in the automatic, like you keep the boost. And honestly, yeah, you kind of feel that, like, every time you let off, you definitely like don't feel that continuous surge of power. And everyone was saying, the shifter feels kind of rubbery, which honestly it does. But the coolest thing is like how notchy it is. So you can see here, like even like usually like there's most cars like have like a little bit of slop here. It's like very stiff here. Um, and then first, second, like I've driven many like different manual cars, and I think one thing that especially in Subarus that I always do is whenever I go from second, I always end up going to like fifth. But this I've never missed a gear, and it's pretty cool. And then obviously reverse, it's kind of I always thought it was like up or down, but pretty much reverse is you got to push it in and you'll hear like a click and then you go forward. So you kind of see like obviously, yeah, it's a little different than first, so you're not going to get confused. Um, in terms of the clutch, so this is like another reason why I feel like this car is pretty good to learn. So this, like, I've been reading online, and obviously they say like Japanese cars are very easy to, like, the clutch is very easy and stuff. I've driven like a Hellcat manual. I've driven some couple of Japanese cars, couple of American cars, manual. Honestly, yeah, Japanese cars are like the easiest. Like a Civic Type R is just like so much fun. Like the amount of clutch travel is perfect, and then the feel is like phenomenal. American cars are pretty fun because they are heavy, but the coolest thing is like you don't even have to put any gas because it has so much like low down torque. And the biting point is like kind of very high up, which I like. So in this car, the thing is the biting point is what I know. This is the first time I've experienced this, and it kind of makes sense. Like I asked a couple of my friends, so I was kind of confused why first gear biting point is different than the other gears. So the first gear biting point is like, it's kind of like right there. It's like almost against the floor, and you can see like how much my foot has to travel. So obviously the clutch travel for all the gears is the same, like how much I have to go. But first gear is like, it's like around here, and then like second gear, like the biting point is somewhere around here. So like I guess like one of the biggest things is like when I was shifting, I kind of got used to like the second and third movement, and every time I'd go into like first, like that difference was like, I don't know, it made me like very like jerky. And I think it makes sense, right? So if you think mechanically, like your first gear is obviously like your heaviest gear, and it has like one of the shortest ratios, so it's gonna have like, I guess, bigger teeth, right? So that's why like you need to, I guess basically you need to watch that. You kind of have to ride the clutch and make sure it meshes. And then also, yeah, like the grabbing point will be like, I guess, longer than the other gears. But yeah, like, so the reason why I said, that kind of is a good thing is this is kind of honestly probably like the hardest manual car I've ever driven. I'm sure there are other like old school American cars that are harder. But the reason why I'd say it's hard is like it's very hard to drive smooth. So I've been able to master like first and second. I can do it, but I feel like, maybe I gotta try. Maybe I gotta ask like one of my experienced manual friends to maybe test it out and see if he can do it smoother. I got it on lock now, but I feel like I can be a lot smoother. And people are online are saying, yeah, like M cars are just they're race cars, so there's gonna be a little bit of finesse to it. Like you're gonna have to like kind of master it, and it'll still be a little bit, not smooth, which is understandable. It is an M car. That's what I bought, but honestly, it's pretty cool, and I'm super grateful that I got to drive like an M car as my first manual car. Um, but yeah, like and yeah, this long clutch is like probably like a good thing because it allows me to basically understand the whole movement. And honestly, like having that long clutch and all these like little like nitty gritty stuff, like that kind of helped me understand the mechanical side a bit more. I've always like when I driven manual cars, I've always had that like I guess the image of like the clutch grabbing the gears or whatever in my head, but I never understood it until obviously I've been driving it very fluid. I've been driving it like more than 10 minutes. I put 1,000 miles on here, so yeah. If you guys have any questions, let me know.